Hi, everybody. I guess everybody's wanting to know what happened. What really happened? Um, Everybody should know. Everybody's got a side to their story. But since he was not on this side of the fence and dealing with things, I'm going to explain it. I'll explain it. And I'll kind of go, well, let's put it this way. I'm not going to go through his whole video, thing by thing or anything like that. And I want to keep this short and brief. So let me just respond to some of the things he said. The first thing is that he said all the discussion details changed in the debate, and those details never changed. The debate time was the only thing that had to change. Now, let's talk about the venue and what happened was uh, I had set this up with Lifegate approximately 3 months ago, and due to the church politics and the way things were run in this organization, they were not willing to be a official sponsor. They don't do that outside of the church, where they're saying they're the ones, putting it on, kind of a thing. And I never implied that I got the full support of the church and they're putting this thing on. I was putting this thing on, not the church. Right from the beginning, it was me that was putting it on. It was me that was doing the promoting. Now, uh, my pastor there, Robert Wilson, he agreed to do the moderating and to host the meeting there at the location, just to have the location there. But it was under the terms that I was to put, and I believe I did put it on the poster. They were not supporting this. They were not the backing official church-wide church that's doing this. Now, this is a congregation, a fairly new one, part of a larger denomination that has all intents and purposes over 2,000 people. I was given permission to advertise and ask people to come and to invite people to come. And I was, of course, he was going to be doing the moderating, and we were using that building. But after about 2 months or so, the pastor felt that the way it was coming across was as if the church was sponsoring this, and he couldn't risk that with his associated churches and the groups that he works with, Lifegate, which is 4 or 5 satellite churches. Um, and I understood that, and so he put that stipulation on me. And we might disagree on this one point, that it came across like people were coming to him and discussing as if the church itself was sponsoring it. And he due to legal things and the way the politics were, that he wasn't able to do that. I accepted that, no problem. So he decided that we could not hold it there. And now this is within a month of this coming. So I figured I had to go to other places. So I went to the Nazarene church in town where I used to attend to, who I know a lot of the members of the congregation there. Um, I went to them. They said they had a room to rent. I submitted my money. I put my application and or details of it all down, and said it probably should not be a problem whatsoever. Okay, I put the flyer out, and then that I might have jumped the gun a little bit too, because I didn't understand that just because I was putting my money down and renting it didn't mean that I had their permission yet. So maybe that was my fault. So the pastor came back. He examined what the debate was about, who Steve Basden was, what he represented, with the 80/70 doctrine and all that. He flatly rejected it. He wanted nothing to do with it. He wanted to protect his church from having any kind of association with that kind of a doctrine. And so he flat out rejected and said, no, I will not have that kind of a debate here at this place. And tore up my check and said, no, it wasn't happening here. So I checked with other few places, including the Church of Christ that is here in town. I talked with them several times. They talked with their board, and it was the same thing. Once they researched the 70A doctrine, I mean, my second meeting with them, he's got all the paperwork of what this doctrine is. He goes, "No, I don't want nothing to do with it." I said, "But it's a Church of Christ that we're trying to, do a rebuttal against and dealing with, and this is growing out of the Churches of Christ here. They're coming from Indiana, Michigan, or wherever else." And I said, he still refused to do it because he did not like the doctrine, didn't want to be submitted to that. But he did say he himself, the one preacher, would probably come to the event, but would not allow his church to be used in that way. So where else did I go? I went there. I checked in out several other places. I never got a response back. Oh yes, Full Life Assembly, Assembly of God. There, I went there. I talked with that pastor. He was willing to moderate if the other one was not able to do it. He was all excited and said, "Hey, let's do this at my church. I just got to get approval from my board." And so I waited. He talked to his board, and his board find out what the debate is about. What are the details of the 70 AD doctrine? And of course, his concerns was I don't know if this is a good thing to introduce to my church because most people don't know anything about this. And the board, who I know many of the members of, and also attended there and have friends for years, including people who work in the newspaper there. So I was doing the advertising. They refused to do it. They didn't want nothing to do with the AD 70 doctrine. It's not that, maybe it was trying to protect their people from that. There is a certain sense that does it, but they didn't want it in their place. When I went to the First Baptist Church, it was basically the same thing. We can rent you the room, but you make sure that everybody knows that we are not sponsoring it. Well, Pastor, would you like to come? Sure, I might be interested. Yeah, I think I might probably come. I left it at that. I didn't push for a commitment. And then I posted the advertising on every Preter's website that I could get into. I posted this on every church in Fremont that I could find. I posted it on their websites. Fremont discussion, I put it up on there and was advertising it, and I was starting to get a lot of response. As far as my influence, of course, he made fun of it, but I am a professor of New Testament theology at the Southern Region Life Bible College from Papua New Guinea. And, he mumbled off something that was kind of stupid because he can't remember what Papua New Guinea is. I also have friends all across this country as part of my youth groups and things like this, and from previous years and friends. And they were going to be tuning in, and I believe they're still going to be tuning in. That's not a problem. So, me, he's not even a pastor. I am a ordained minister with the Foursquare denomination, International Church of the Foursquare Gospel. That has never been pulled. I am not currently pastoring right now. Instead, I am going to school, and I have been for the last 8 years. I used to pastor the Fremont Foursquare Church here. We had to close the doors in 2006, and I won't go into those details. But I left in good standing, and I have helped out several other churches in between times. And I'm currently now working on my PhD from the Church of Christ University, Amherst University out of Alabama. And so influence, and I'm a nobody. That's fine. He can say those things of things, but I would know better. He wouldn't. He's not part of anything. He even denigrated Sam Frost, and Sam Frost has got, quite a wide following. He doesn't do the video blogs and all of those other things, but he is highly respected. He is highly sought after as a speaker, and to come and talk about full preterism as being a full preterist former. So in the community, he is highly respected, and his books are selling well. So this kind of a disparaging thing was not exactly, appropriate. So I explained why they did not want to support it. The plans. So as far as I know, I did not know of any of their plans. They never communicated to me who was flying in, how they were getting there, or anything else. I heard nothing back from them. Um, so when I went to the First Baptist Church, they said it had to be closed by 5 o'clock, had to be shut off. And I said, okay, well, all right, then if I back up the hours, it'll have to start at 10. That was my first thought. I'm not set in stone. I never was set in stone. So if Steve had come to me and said, hey, I can't do it because Holger is coming in at 10 o'clock, then I would have said, fine. What time later? We can cut out the discussion part and deal with mostly the debate. If that's what you really want to do, I'm totally open. You can change these things any way you want to. I'm not set in stone with any of it. I'm totally flexible and bendable. So what can I do to help you? I even sent a text message, private message to Basin. It says, "Hey, does Holger, if he's flying in, do you want me? I can go into the airport and pick him up. I don't have a problem with that. If he needs help, I'll come and pick him up and bring him out there. We can work with this any way you want to." But that didn't happen. Um, so as far as of course, my debate with Steven, if he was going to be able to come, then it didn't matter if Holger was able to, in a sense. But it's all right. It's okay. So I kind of explained it. That's where it's at. So what we've decided to do, of course, then is this Saturday we're going to do it Zoom. I will have Sam will be with us. We'll do whatever discussion part we can do, but mostly it'll be the debate, I guess. It'll remain the same in the details. I offered 5 more minutes per thing. He didn't want to do that, so we're just leaving it to 20 minutes, and then 10-minute rebuttal. He'll go in the negative, I'll go in the affirmative, and then he starts with the affirmative, me on the negative. Then I start with the affirmative and his on the negative, and then we end with him on the affirmative and me on the negative again. So 3 rounds. Um, I I gave him full say in whatever way he wanted to do it. It didn't bother me, and I need to repeat that again. It did not bother me how he wanted to do it. To me, it was totally open. He could change anything he wanted to. He could have told me anything. I would have accommodated him right and left on whatever he wanted to do. So to me, it was not, that kind of a big issue. Um, so he from my last discussion with him, he's not going to be able to do this discussion part. He's got some issues with his internet and Wi-Fi. So basically, it'll be basically the debate is what it'll all be about, and it will still start at 1 o'clock, or excuse me, sorry, 10 o'clock that morning and end at 1 o'clock, thereabouts. And so here I'll say it right now. We've allotted 20 minutes. But if he needs to go over a few minutes, I don't care. It's okay with me, because the point of all of this was not to talk past one another, but actually deal with the issue and the points themselves. And so that was my hope, and that was my goal, is really about this discussion. See, in the last discussion that Sam Frost had with Michael Miano, they were able to sit there and just talk about those couple of things that they were dealing with, and they did it very constructively without any kind of problem whatsoever. And that was my hope, was just to be able to sit down and talk about these issues and these things that we were going through. So yes, I put money out for that. The venue, I've done months of advertising, months of talking with people and putting out there. And yes, now because he canceled, I've got to get it all out and change everything. So I will leave it at that. Anything else? Yeah, you'll find me on Facebook. You can talk to me. I will be there. And any other questions that you might have. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you later.